I need more crayons. Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to do a wax resist technique using crayons and watercolors. I'll first start with making my preliminary or beginning sketch. I do want to take my time to make sure that everything is looking exactly how I want it to look. This is the chance for me to erase any mistakes, to make any tweaks, and to do anything that I need to do to be happy with my drawing. For my beginning sketch, I am making sure that I'm drawing nice and light. This way, if I need to erase all of my mistakes, I'm not fighting with the dark leftover marks that my eraser couldn't quite get. So start your sketch lightly before you begin adding any details, and this way it will just cover nicely when we get to the crayons and the watercolors. So my drawing is looking complete. It is taking up the full page and I'm really happy with how it looks. So it's time to move on to the crayons. At first glance, it might be a little overwhelming to see a completely blank white page and to decide where you should start. What I like to do is focus on some of the outlining and some of the darker areas. And then after that, I can slowly start to build up the other spaces, layering my colors. Going into your drawing, you may have an idea of the colors that you want to use, but I do not recommend just grabbing one shade of each color. For instance, I want my scarab beetle to be purple and blue and a little bit green, but instead of grabbing just one purple crayon, one blue crayon, and one green crayon, I've tried to grab about 3 different shades of each color. And when we layer up our color this way, it just helps it look a lot more rich and vibrant. You may have noticed that I'm using a black crayon as well, and this is just going to help amp up those darker areas. I would use the black crayon with caution, however, because if we get too carried away with the black, it can really kill the vibrancy of our bright colors. I feel like I'm almost done with my wax crayons at this point, so you can see that I do have some spaces that look a little more white, and I've got some other spaces that have multiple layers of the crayon. It's really worked up and it's really thick, and not a lot of paper is showing from underneath. It is up to you if you want more white paper to be showing, or if you want to have more wax crayon built up in your drawing. Either way, the watercolor will resist the crayon, so it won't affect the color of the crayon. It will just fill in all the white spots of paper that are left behind. So it's really your personal creative decision as to whether you want more white space showing for your watercolors or less white space showing so that you have more wax crayon in your drawing. When you're painting with watercolors, there's two ways you can go about it. So the first way is just to wet your paintbrush or whatever tool you're using to paint with, go right into that color and then start applying it to your page. This is going to give you quite a dark color. The other way is to wet your page first with clean water and then dip your brush into your paint solution and add it to the wet spot onto your page. This is going to make it have a much more cloudy or blurry effect. Either way you choose to work, there's one thing that you have to keep in mind. The more water you're using, the lighter your color will be. The less water you're using, the more bright and dark your color will be. For instance, if you find that you have a spot of color that is too dark, you can just clean off your paintbrush in the water, wipe off the excess water, and soak up some of that color with your clean paintbrush, and then just add a little more clean water over top of it to blend it out again, and it will just lighten right up. If you find that your watercolors are looking a little muted, not quite as bright and dark as you want them to be, then just let your layer of watercolor dry, and then you can work over top of it again with another layer of color. The second time around though, just make sure that you don't use quite as much water with your watercolors, and you should get a more saturated and bright color in the end. Don't forget that this is a wax resist, so don't be afraid to go right over your crayon drawing with your watercolor. I hope you feel ready to try out this wax resist technique. So have fun, and I'll see you next time.